Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. Hello and welcome. If you can give me some hearts or a wave to make sure that you can hear me okay. Hi, good. Okay, awesome. So hello everyone, season's greetings and happy holidays. I am so honored to be here, being able to demo for you live via WellaEducation. So my name is Lindsey Rice, and I am one of our signature artists with Wella Professional. I'm based out of the United States here in California, and I am here to present to you one of my favorite topics, which is reds. So I'm going to do a demo for you and hopefully give you some inspiration. Hello everyone joining. Welcome, welcome. I also wanted to call out that I invited a counterpart to come and help me kind of manage some questions, because I'm going to have my hands and hair quite a bit throughout this hour. So know that my good buddy Christopher Citroni is also with us, and he is kind of manning the chat. So his handle is citroni.wella. So if you do have questions that pop up, I will try to answer as we go. But I think, as we all know, as hairdressers, it can be a little tricky to multitask. So he's going to be helping me out. So don't be surprised if you see him chatting with you in the chat. So I am so excited to be able to bring this to you. And what we're really focusing on are reds for the holidays. And I think now is a really special time, and reds are all around us, all seasons, but this season, I really love to focus on reds that kind of remind me of that kind of warm holiday spirit, if you will. So I'm thinking kind of in the direction of like our cranberry reds, or kind of like a crushed red velvet. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And I think that Wella Professionals truly does have the best tools to create the most beautiful, expensive looking redheads. And two of my favorite tools in the portfolio for my reds are our lightener Magma, which is a lightener that lifts and tones at the same time, as well as Color Touch Relights, which is a beautiful demi-permanent refresher that truly just gives tone only without giving depth of a leveled value. So that's what we're going to focus on today. One of my favorite techniques to do with redheads is freehand painting. So I'm going to be showing you some of that. And I love redheads that almost have a bit of a hyper natural tone on tone feel. So today is not necessarily about tons and tons of contrast. Today is about really the simplicity of a tone on tone redhead that has a super expensive finish. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. I see lots of love and hearts, so know that I appreciate your time and being here with me. And thank you, Christopher, for being my buddy. All right, so I have a mannequin here for you, my gorgeous, lovely model. Get her positioned. All right, there we go. So we're going to be working with a very classic simple sectioning when it comes to freehand painting. This is a sectioning that I like a lot, especially if I'm not looking for specific high and low contrast, and if I'm just trying to add some brightness and sparkle through the ends. So something I think that we all have experienced at some time in our career is that reds can be a little bit tricky. Hair in itself sort of accepts different tones differently. So especially on longer hair, when we've got mid-lengths and ends, we typically deal with quite a bit of porosity. And porous hair is going to reject warm tones, but accept and kind of suck up cool tones first. So I try to almost like prepare my canvas with more warmth and brightness from the get-go, which is why I really love using Magma for this process, because it's going to lift and tone at the same time. So in this process, I'm not necessarily thinking about what is the end result of the redhead that I'm trying to create. It's more so, what is the undertone that I need to support that kind of finishing overlay that I'm going to do. So today I'm going to be using Magma Stroke 6.5, which is a violet, red violet. I'm going to do 30 grams of that with 5 grams of stroke 3/6. And that's just going to soften that red violet so that it's a little bit on kind of a softer pinky side versus a really intensive violet side. It just softens it just a skosh. And by softening that, it ensures that I don't get too much heavy pigment on those mid-lengths and ends. It's just going to lighten and brighten, okay? So I've mixed that with our Free Lights developer, and that's something I really love about Magma is the fact that it's super versatile and that you can use our classic WellaEducation or Color Touch developers if you're using Magma in a foil, or if you're freehand painting with Magma, you have the ability to use the Free Lights developer for a really seamless painting application without any separators. So that's what we're going to do today. So a lot of my focus for this is going to actually be in the front. So I'm just going to do a couple sections here in the back to get us started. And again, my sections and my application here in the back, I'm really just kind of focusing on getting some sparkle on the ends. I'm not going to be painting super high up. It really will be from about that mid strand down. So this is just to create a bit of fluidity in the color. And my advice to you is less is more. So I just mixed up this Magma right before I went to live. So you can see here, we've got that stroke 6.5 with a little bit of the stroke 3.6. So it creates like this really beautiful magenta, which is going to really help to support this super, super simple yet elegant cranberry red. So I'm going to take a scooped section, so it's a little bit curved and round, and I do want to leave some sections in between just for some natural variation, okay? Now I am going to focus my painting to be slightly higher in the front and getting a little bit lower in the back of this section, because this really is a very classic kind of rounder long haircut. So I want to have this flow of higher in the front to a little bit lower in the back. All right. So nice, good tension here. You'll see I am using a bit of a wider brush, and that's because I really want this to be very, very feathery. So to almost have just like a nice, soft, threaded blend towards the top. I don't have a very specific high peak. It's just nice and soft and feathery, but still getting nice saturation on that surface layer, right? And again, we're keeping a majority of this at the mid strand down because our goal is to add that beautiful cranberry sparkle. To those of you who are just joining, we're talking holiday reds, and we are talking beautiful, expensive looking tone on tone holiday reds. So we're using Magma to kind of pre-lay in some of that lightness and brightness. All right, so we've got that first section in. In this back quadrant, which essentially sits from like the crown to the top of the ear, I'm only going to do 3 sections. Again, this is to help create a bit of fluidity in transition. Now this mannequin is a natural level 6, so it is a little bit lighter. So that's why I feel like I can get away with less sections, keeping a bit more of the natural. If you were dealing with a darker natural base or someone who had a lot of dark tint through their mid-lengths and ends, you might want to do more sections, and that's fine. You need to get a little bit even more kind of exaggerated brightness and tone through those ends. So suitability will always, always be a factor. So keep that in mind. And yes, suitability for a mannequin also counts. So soft and feathery, have a little bit of blend towards the top, but not heavily saturated there. Really just focusing more so on the mid strand down. If you have product questions as we go and I'm not catching them, know that my dear, dear friend Christopher Citroni, citroni.wella, will be there to help to answer questions as well. So thank you, Christopher, you're awesome. All right, so super, super simple. We're just brightening up those ends. Now, before I let this go, a good tip and trick when you're painting is using the heel of your brush, so this wide part of your brush, and just kind of doing a very slow swipe through the underneath. That little bit of a swipe will ensure that you don't have any big kind of globs of product and that you can confidently just lay that down in natural fall. So hopefully we're liking this so far. Hello everyone, welcome, welcome. And again, my name is Lindsey Rice. I have been a full-time signature artist with Wella Professional. I just hit my 5 years, so Wella has always been a huge, huge part of my career. And I couldn't be more stoked, honestly, to really be a part of the full-time Wella family. And thank you for being a part of our family as well. Right? Holiday times are all about family. And Wella is a huge part of my extended family. All right. So give me some hearts, some shout outs if you also love doing redheads as much as I do. Because they truly are some of my favorite clients. And it's something that I've started to really specialize more so as I progress in my career, is really wanting to master that element of suitability and consultation for redheads. And redheads are really special clients. They tend to have a little bit of kind of vibrancy in their personality. And even if maybe they're a bit more introverted, turning them into a redhead, if they're not naturally one, can sort of open up that personality to see a little bit more of that feistiness, if you will. So I love a good feisty redhead. The other great thing about redheads is that they tend to be extremely loyal clients. Sometimes reds can be a little bit higher maintenance, might need a little bit more refreshing every now and then, perhaps a little bit more of a committed roots touch-up. So they are extremely loyal. They also tend to be very, very loyal when it comes to home care, right? And purchasing the proper home care that they need to be able to maintain that beautiful, rich, vibrant red. So for me, home care that I always recommend for my reds are either going to be Brilliance, which is our color protecting home care system. And then we also have Color Motion Plus. So those would be more so for my clients that maybe have a little bit of integrity issues, need a bit more strength, because Color Motion Plus not only offers the color protection, but it also helps to strengthen the hair. So redheads love their shampoos and conditioners and their treatments. So super, super loyal clients. All right, so that's really all I'm going to do in the back. Let's move on to the fronts, because this is where we're going to get a lot more painting in. All right. So I see, what's my Instagram? Great question. So my Instagram is lindsey.wella. So Lindsey. So I'm an EY Lindsey. .wella. So super, super easy. Mixing ratio. There we go. So mixing ratio for magma, I like 1 to 1.5. So I did 30 grams of the stroke 6.5 plus 5 grams of stroke 3.6. And then I added about 53 grams of the Relights Developer 20 volume. So 1 to 1.5. All right. So let's get going on this kind of front quadrant. Again, I section this from crown to the top of the ear. And throughout the back and through the front, I'm going to be working with diagonal back sections because I really want to work with kind of that flow of the haircut of all of my painting being a little bit higher and brighter in the front and then kind of cascading down towards the back. All right. So as we're doing this, again, what I want you to think about an end result is having that very expensive looking tone on tone redhead. So these elements and pieces that we're placing in right now with our magma, think of them more as like that holiday tinsel. It's just going to add a lot of sparkle to your end result, and it will help to brighten up those ends and kind of alleviate any issues that you may have with your ends possibly picking up a little bit dull in your end result. Okay. So again, diagonal back subsections. Now, once we hit this front quadrant, I am going to paint a bit higher, so tighter to the root area. But again, I'm still keeping it at this kind of diagonal application and placement. So that way it really just kind of naturally flows beautifully without any strong lines of demarcation. But again, keeping this very, very soft and feathery on that surface painting. This is such an easy, simple application. You know, if I were behind the chair doing this on a client, right, on both sides, the entire painting application would probably take me about 30 minutes, right? Keep this very, very simple, especially in the holiday season. Time is money. You want to get those kind of extra pieces in super, super quick and think about how can you really maximize your time to be able to create this beautiful, beautiful, rich cranberry red. All right. So diagonal back subsections. Oh, I just saw a really beautiful question. I'm obsessed with alumina. I can't find a warm red. That's a great, great question. So alumina, I am obsessed with too. So I totally feel ya. Alumina is one of my favorites for very soft, modern gray coverage. It's something that I use with my blondes quite a bit. And really the unique factor with alumina color is that it's a violet rosé base. So it's cooler as an entire line from the get-go. So because of that, that's why you don't see a lot of vibrant red shades within alumina. There are some very beautiful, soft, natural red shades. And I actually, that's what I have on my hair color is alumina. So I use 9-stroke 4-3 combined with opalescence, copper peach. And it gives me a beautiful, beautiful, very natural, but has a little bit of pop to it, a little bit of vibrancy without looking too hot or too glowy. So that's kind of the reason why you're not going to see a lot of those intensive bright reds in alumina. They truly are going to live a little bit more in our Celeste on Perfect and Color Touch range. So hopefully that answers your questions. And as much as you love alumina, just know that your maybe more intensive redhead clients might be better suited for Celeste on Perfect, Color Touch, or Magma. All right. So again, keeping it simple. Diagonal back subsections. There we go. And with each section, as I paint, painting a bit higher towards the front and lower towards the back. Now, something like this could also be implemented with a brunette. It could also be implemented with maybe more of a blonde if you're wanting to have like a multi-tonal blonde. So even if you don't have a lot of redheads behind the chair quite yet, know that this kind of soft tinsel approach can be done in many, many different shades. And to that point of alumina, if I wanted to have some brightness kind of underneath the hair, if you will, and then do an overlay of alumina, magma could be a great choice for that as well. All right. So again, next subsection, I'm still scooping, still working very, very feathery, and working higher towards the front of my section, making sure I've got nice saturation. And then kind of filling in towards the ends and saturating those ends as well. All right. I love painting with magma. It's such just like a beautiful application process. It's super fun for your clients to be able to see these true tones just living directly on the surface of their hair. So it's a little bit of a different experience for them. Okay. So now I'm going to do this front section and move it that way. So again, right now I am using Magma by Blondor, which is a lightener that lifts and tones at the same time. So my formula is 30 grams of stroke 6.5, which is a violet, red violet, and then 5 grams of stroke 3.6, which is a gold violet. And that just helps to kind of soften it up a little bit so it's not too heavy and too violety. And I mix that 1 to 1.5 with our Relights 20 volume. And we are just continuing up the head, working with diagonal back subsections. Very simple, very classic. No need to reinvent the wheel. If it works and you get beautiful results, keep it cruising. So you can see here in the front, I want to get a little bit tighter to this root area. I'm not necessarily looking for like a super light and bright money piece. I just want to work in that natural direction and flow of the hair. So we get a lot of kind of pop of tone in the front versus a lot of contrast in the front. And again, really laying it on thick in that surface. And then we're going to saturate through these mid-lengths and ends. All right. Hopefully you are all doing well, staying safe and healthy, continuing to be inspired. So again, next section's going to come down. Thank you, Christopher. I see that you just put my handle up there. So yeah, my handle on Instagram is lindsey.wella, and it's Lindsey with an E. So I would love to connect with you after this. If you have any direct questions or if you want clarification on anything, I can always help you out with that. All right. So we're just going to keep on cruising. So you can see, very simple, very easy, very quick. Now I want to be mindful as I'm in this area where I'm kind of right over the ear and transitioning to that back section. Remember, in the back, we actually want to keep a little bit more depth. We want more brightness in the front. So I just want to make sure that in that transitional area, I'm not going too high. I'm still thinking about and maintaining that flow of higher towards the front. Then once it comes behind the ear, much lower in the back and really just focusing on brightening up the ends. Is the Magma 4.4 more of a true red? Can this be used on a level 4 and 5? Yes and yes is the answer to that. So stroke 4.4 is going to be more of that true fire engine red, a beautiful shade for this time of year with your holiday red folks. Again, I chose stroke 6.5 because it has a little bit more of that pinky undertone because I'm looking for more of a cranberry red. But stroke 4.4 is a shade that I use very often. All right, I'm going to scoop that out. There we go. All right. So again, really thinking, I still want to be higher towards the front, but then when it comes to this mid area, keeping it nice and low. Again, less is more. And again, if you have a client with darker hair, either naturally or artificially, right, if they have dark color on their hair, that's the amazing thing about Magma is that it will lift through artificial color as well. So if you are dealing with a level 3 or 4, can you use the red Magmas? Absolutely. It's actually my favorite. And if you were doing something like this on a client with darker hair, you may just want to do more sections to get more brightness through the ends. So up to you, and always thinking about that client suitability. So still scooping that section. And continuing to paint higher towards the front, lower towards the back. So because this kind of end result that I'm looking for, I'm wanting it to be very, very soft and feathery, I like using a bit of a larger brush. If I'm wanting to do balayage or freehand painting that is a little bit more, I'll say, linear and specific, you're trying to create very specific, maybe highs and lows and more contrast, then I prefer to use a smaller angled brush. So there's no right or wrong, just sharing my preference and just the why behind a little bit of a larger brush. All right. So we've got a majority of that set in the front. So I really just kind of want those two high pops at the very, very front. And then we've got this kind of surface hair that lives above the parietal ridge. And really want to think about, where does this hair lay in natural fall? Because I really want to focus a bit more, again, on that mid-length and end. I don't feel the need to go super, super high in this area. The height that I've created in the very, very front is enough for me. Now, if you wanted to do kind of more of those highlights a little bit higher up and have more sparkle at the top, could you do that? Of course you could. So no right or wrong, it's just all about that preference. Now for these two sections, I am not going to scoop. I am going to essentially saturate all through the mid-lengths and ends, because I want this to act like a veil that kind of sits over the rest of it, that still has some kind of natural quality to the top, and it's just having more of that sparkle through the ends. All right, turn it this way just a skosh. What is the best undertone level to work for a true raspberry tone? Raspberry, I feel like, is a phrase that can be interpreted in many, many different ways. When I think of raspberry, what I envision is kind of a deep red magenta. And for me, stroke 6-5 really, really is going to give that beautiful, beautiful deep magenta. So stroke 6-5 is my favorite for a raspberry. You could also even add in like a little bit of stroke 7-3 to that for kind of more of a natural raspberry, if you will. It'll still be nice and warm. Or even stroke 1-7. I've actually done that before. Stroke 6-5 and stroke 1-7, which is an ash warm brown. And it creates kind of a very beautiful, cool pink, if you will. So I think my question back to you would be, how warm or how cool are you looking for this raspberry? But those are the tonal directions that I would go in. All right, so really just saturating kind of through these ends, soft and feathery towards that mid, but not going up too high. What about grays? So if we're discussing, like if we're talking about magma with gray coverage, that's something that you really want to think about, of what are going to be the best color tools to be able to cover gray. Magma on its own is not intended to cover gray, but you can definitely incorporate magma into your process if you're wanting to do, let's say, gray coverage with Celeste on Perfect at the roots, and then add some pieces of lightness and brightness through the mid-lengths and ends with magma. You could do that. If you're thinking about what is the best undertone for adding gray to the hair, so you're trying to create a gray tone, usually the goal would be to be as cool as possible. So I might paint or highlight the hair with stroke 1-7, or perhaps stroke 8-9 plus. Those are going to be beautiful, beautiful, cool shades that will help to support a cooler tone or overlay when you're done. So hopefully that helps you with that. Yep, so brunette with grays. So in that scenario, I would do their gray coverage with either Celestone Perfect or potentially Illumina Color, depending on what you're trying to do. And then maybe if you're just trying to add some sparkle to your brunette, stroke 7-3 is a beautiful magma choice. Hurry, your model seems tired. I know, she's so over it. She's been my model so many times. So that truly is it for the painting. So nice and simple, right through the underneath of the round of the head, making sure that we're working higher in the front, lower towards the back. And then any of that hair that kind of lives above the round of the head, that's going to live as a veil. And we're really just focusing on adding some brightness to those mid-lengths and ends. Is it nice on a level 2 and 3? Absolutely, absolutely. And if you think about reds, especially kind of more of that deep fire engine red or your cranberry red, those reds typically live at like a level 5 or 6. So if you're going from a 2 to a level 5, you really only need 3 levels of lift. And that's really why I like to work with lower and slower developers, because I really just want to lift up to the level at which that tone lives. So if you have clients that are a natural or artificial level 2 or 3, and they're looking for a change and they're wanting to go red, magma is the easiest, most predictable, beautiful choice. So one of my favorites. All right, so once you've got your very, very simple and classic painting in, simple but strategic, then you're going to do a beautiful overlay or gloss over the entire head of hair. This really is just setting that foundation of that rich, rich tone, but then we're gonna go over the entire head with a beautiful, like I said, overlay or gloss. There are tons of choices of what you could use for that gloss. You can do Illumina Color, like I said. For these kind of brighter tones, I might go towards Color Touch or Celestone Perfect, because that really is where those live best. Celestone Perfect, you could do an overlay using any red shade, working 1 to 2 with Pastel Developer. Again, we're working on shampooed towel dried hair at this point, because glosses typically go on damp hair, and they can be applied at the shampoo bowl very quickly and easily. Or if you prefer to take them back to your chair and apply with a bowl and brush, you can do it that way as well. So you could do Celestone Perfect. You could do Color Touch, right? Our kind of core Color Touch, let's say a 7-7 stroke 4-5. That would be really, really beautiful. My goal here is to not necessarily take the natural level higher or lower. I kind of want it to maintain the same level, but just add a lot of tone and a lot of brightness. So for this, I chose to use Color Touch Relights. So Relights is a beautiful demi-permanent tonal refresher. It has no leveled value. It is just simply tone. So I have the box right here. So this is what the box looks like, just in case you need a little reminder. Aw, thank you, friend. Thank you, Anna Victoria. So Relights is going to be, again, a tonal refresher that has no leveled value. It is just tone. So really its core intention is to be able to refresh tone without adding too much depth or too much natural. You just get this beautiful brightness and kind of refreshing of tone, if you will. So you can see on the box, hopefully you can see there, it's backwards, I know, but you can see that there's no number in front of the stroke, there's just the numbers after. So that's kind of the telltale sign that this is Relights. Now, Relights is kind of its own subcategory. It's very, very unique. We don't recommend mixing this in to your core Color Touch family. So let's say you were doing 7-7 stroke 4-5 and you wanted to add more red and get more punch in there. We have special mixes that are designed to be intermixable into core Color Touch, but Relights is kind of its own little baby, beautiful tonal refresher that works super, super quick. So there are blonde shades and there are red shades. Blonde shades process for 5 to 10 minutes. So easy breezy, done super fast. Reds process for 15 to 20 minutes. So considering all the options that you have, this is still a very, very quick processing choice. And again, my goal was to kind of maintain the natural level, but to really emphasize and shift the tone to be super rich and super, super vibrant. You could also do a similar idea with Color Fresh. Now, Color Fresh does have a leveled value, but if you're looking for a non-oxidative, just semi-permanent tone, you could do that as well. You could even do an overlay all over with Color Fresh Create. So kind of more of your really, really intensive pure tone semi-permanent. So I really do believe that it's all about personal preference. What are you trying to achieve? What is your consultation and what have you discussed as far as maintenance and future goals and things like that? But Color Touch Relights is really one of my favorites to be able to get beautiful, intensive, rich tone very quickly. And what I love about this too is that when you mix it up, you're going to mix it with Color Touch 1.9%, 1 to 2. And the viscosity is controllable, but it's liquidy. So it's very, very easy to just apply at the shampoo bowl super quick, process for 15 to 20 minutes, and you have completely changed and revolutionized your client's hair to look completely different, but it's very simple and very gentle to the hair. So, do we want to see an end result? Hopefully you do, because I've got it for you. All right. I'll get these clips out of the way. There we go. I think I got one back here too. All right. Pop this up. Come on. There we go. All right, and this has not been styled yet. I actually was a little bit inspired to do a bit of styling for you because we're talking about super, super simple color. So why not incorporate some very simple but impactful styling? So we can see here, give her a little bit of a comb. There we go. So hopefully you can see just beautiful, beautiful, rich cranberry red, super, super vibrant. And again, all we've really done is that kind of tinsel painting underneath, and then just doing a very, very rich, vibrant overlay over everything. But again, it's not about a ton of contrast. It's about an expensive looking red that you almost can't figure it out. You can't figure out where the highs or the lows are. Just everything has almost like an iridescent sparkle. And as you move it or as the light changes, you're going to see kind of different highs and lows. Okay. So let's go ahead and style this chickadee out. And I am going to use one of my favorite tools for this season, which is the GHD Classic Curve Wand. And I'll show it to you in a moment. And I am going to work, I'm actually going to work diagonal back. Or diagonal forward, excuse me. There we go. All right. So I turn on my Classic Curve Wand. So this wand is very, very unique in its shape. It has almost a bit of a flat shape. Before I keep going, was it the same technique you used on the other side? Yes. So I did the exact same technique that I just did on this side. So if I were doing a client's full head, the same color technique would happen from side to side. So again, our Classic Curve Wand, it has this kind of elliptical shape to it. And what I love about this wand is that it does a great job of creating super beautiful, almost kind of like old school Hollywood glam waves. GHD is very, very passionate about integrity of hair, right? And integrity of color. And that's why I feel like GHD is a perfect partner for your redheads, is because everything will always be maintained at 365 degrees. That is the optimum temperature for being able to really mold and shape the hair without breaking down keratin. So I am just working on a diagonal back. Let that sit for a few seconds. You saw me probably spray, and that is our heat protectant thermal image from Aimee, one of my favorites. It's got heat protection, but it's also got a little bit of hold and grip, which I really enjoy. So taking fairly large sections, I'll say maybe 1.5 inches high. And we are just kind of flat wrapping this around that classic curved wand. A little bit of thermal image, again, for that heat protection and control. I'll split this into two. There's just quite a bit of density of hair on this mannequin, so. Love that barrel, yes. That's super, super kind of flat but round. Barrel is what I really love as well. So just doing a nice flat wrap. And again, notice that I'm keeping the tool kind of angled at that diagonal back. And we're just going to continue these diagonal backs. Was the base color shift just from relights? Yes, it was. And it really didn't shift. It just added a ton of intense tone. So that base level really isn't lighter or darker. It's still kind of maintained at that level 6, if you will. And I just realized that I told you I use relights, but I did not tell you my formula. So sneaky, sneaky. I'm sure you want to know the formula. So I used relights stroke 4-4. I did 2 parts of that. So let's say 40 grams of stroke 4-4, so that intensive red. And then I did 1 part, or 20 grams, of stroke 6-5. So this has a lot of that intensive red and a little bit of violet, red, violet. And that's what really helps to create that beautiful, beautiful cranberry tone. All right, so we're just flat wrapping this around. And my goal today was to bring you something that's very simple, but that has a lot of visual impact. So we're just continuing those waves all the way through. You can see just wrap all the way around. Thank you, Christopher, for typing in the formula. That's super helpful. And we're just wanting to get some beautiful waves and ridges in there. I will be posting afterwards on my Instagram as well some kind of finished photos so that if you want to go back and revisit, you may. And again, my personal Instagram is lindsey.wella. And that's Lindsey with an E. All right, so we're just going to continue this wrapping. But as you can see, the vibrancy just from adding in some of that soft feathered painting from Magma, which truly, truly is a redhead's best friend. and then doing an all over gloss with relights. And the reason I chose relights is because I really just wanted to emphasize tone without shifting level. Because again, this client, my beautiful client here, is a level 6. So she's kind of in that mid area anyway. But if you had a client that naturally had super dark hair and you wanted to change their base color, maybe doing like permanent color with Clest on Perfect, and then you could use relights through the ends. So again, it's all about suitability. And Christopher, you're on it. Thank you for your help. It's always good to have a buddy. All right. So I've got like 2 more sections here. For me, these don't have to be like exactly perfect. I do want a little bit of an organic kind of feel. So again, wrapping and keeping the hair flat. I'm trying not to over twist the hair. Super rich color, I know. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you think so as well. And that really, in my personal and humble opinion, I feel like reds are really where Wella really shines and is truly the authority in the industry for our reds. All right, wrap, wrap, wrap. Again, keeping it super simple. Very quick styling option. I'm kind of working slow so you can kind of see the mechanics of it, but in a salon, boom, 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 you could have this done in 5 to 10 minutes. All right, last one. And then I'll give it a little bit of a brush out for you. So hopefully you are enjoying this rich, beautiful, expensive looking, but very, very simple cranberry red. All right. Yes, this tool is one of my favorites. So this is a GHD classic curve wand. It kind of has this oval shape to it, but GHD will always and forever be my go-to for hot tools. It has been since I started in the industry. Always focused on integrity of hair and maintaining color, right? Maintaining that investment. All right, so let's go ahead. Most of this in the back is fairly cooled. So I'm using a cushion brush, and then I need Glam Mist. And I'm just spraying this directly to the brush so that I get a nice even distribution of product all throughout. So you can see that it just puts in these super, super glossy kind of Hollywood waves, but it has a little bit more of like a modern feel to it. I like a little bit of that like fluffiness from the brush out. But you can see that those waves just sit in automatically, very organically. I remember being in beauty school and learning an actual, finger wave, and then also learning it like with a Marcel iron, and I always struggled with it, and I always wanted to be able to create these beautiful, beautiful waves, but the dexterity of my hands at that time, I couldn't quite get it right. So I love the simplicity, right, of this. Makes it so easy, and it truly does have such a rich modern feel to it, especially with this color. It really helps to bring out this color. Is the cushion brush also GHG? It is, yeah. All right, and we can kind of, you know, continue to form this. Got a little bit of Stay Essential hairspray. You could also use the Stay Firm. And I can just kind of marry those waves together. So simple. Very, very simple and easy. Right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. And just because 'tis the season, why not? Could put in a cute little accessory if you want. Let's say that she's going out to a little party and wants to put that back with a little pearl, a little glitz. You can do that too. So always lots of options. But as you can see doing that live, that really only took me, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. And like I said, I was slowing things down so you can get such a glamorous look in a very, very quick amount of time. So I just want to say thank you so much for spending time with me and kind of digging into the mind of Lindsey Rice. It's a crazy place to be, but I promise it's fun. And for letting me share my love and passion for beautiful, rich, elegant reds, but again, always keeping it super simple, to the point, and just always being as time efficient as possible. So I hope that you gained some inspiration maybe for your next red look. I encourage you to keep it simple, really enjoy and embrace all of the tools within Wella because of the fact that there's so many different options. Like I said, I love Magma and I love Relights for those really intensive bright reds. So if you haven't tried them, give them a try. Huge shout out and thank you to my friend Christopher Citroni for helping to answer questions. I hope that was helpful for all of you to have kind of a second buddy on the line. And again, my Instagram is lindsey.wella. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Stay safe, and I will see you soon. Thanks everyone, and thank you WellaEducation.